How's everybody doing? In today's video, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be talking about my new drum set. This is a bit of an unusual purchase for me because obviously I'm a guitarist. I can dabble in bass to record things with because the tuning is very similar to a guitar, even though my technique in bass is not that good. I can get by when I need to record, but I'm absolutely terrible when trying to drum. I just have no training, no practice, no lessons. I don't know what I'm doing, but that doesn't mean it's not fun to bang around on some drums. But that's not really the reason why I got this drum set. The real reason was, well, eventually I'd like to learn something, but the main reason for now is for guests. So other musicians, friends, family, whoever might be over and can contribute drums. You can't do that without having a drum set on location and already set up. And I will get into in a minute why that's important. My only personal goal for having this drum set is to, maybe occasionally practice or learn things online. I'm not really planning on taking formal lessons, so I'm not that serious about it, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun to practice gradually on, and then eventually maybe 100 or 200 or 300 years from now, at my rate of practice, I might be able to learn how to play the song Cosmic by Avenged Sevenfold on drums. So I guess check back in 300 years to see if I have built up to that ability or not. But basically, I just got this drum kit so that my brother, my uncle, friends who drum can come over and have something to play on. And now that I have a house, why not? But also, you may have noticed just from this glimpse, it's not an acoustic drum kit. It is a Simmons Titan 50 electric drum kit. And the reason why I went with that is because a good friend of mine recommended it. He uses a Simmons kit, not a Titan 50, but a much nicer kit. And in the meantime, when I was at Guitar Center, I tried one out that they had on the floor there, and the feel of the drum heads, the pads, felt like, and granted, I'm not an expert, I'm not a drummer already, but it felt to me like the pads had a very natural sort of bounce and stick feel. Obviously, the cymbals have a pretty terrible feel as far as representing how a metal cymbal would feel, in the sense that they do have rubber on them, but they're still rigid, whereas normally if you're hitting a cymbal, anything after that first strike, the cymbal's going to be vibrating and warping, and it's going to feel like the stick goes really far into it, and it feels like the cymbal is kind of soft. So this never really feels like the cymbals are soft because it's just a static, rubber pad basically that you're hitting. But I would say, to me, that's the biggest downside that I've noticed, and that's not exclusive to this kit. That goes for most all electric cymbals on electric drum kits. There are some cymbals that you can get separately that are partially metal, and they do give you that softer feel. But for me, I'm just using the stock ones because that's what came with it. I did find a good deal from Musician's Friend on getting the Titan 50 with the expansion pack combined for a really good price. I think it was like $40 or $50 cheaper than if I had bought them separately, but they were just selling it together as a bundle. So I went with that. I do want to say it's been a long time since I ordered anything from Musician's Friend. And I did have an issue when I was ordering this kit where the expansion pack and the main kit shipped separately. And my house is in a neighborhood that is newly built. So for whatever reason, delivery companies have been kind of bad at finding the address, even though it's it's right out in front, and every house on the street follows a pattern of addresses. And also if you put it in Google Maps, it will take you right here. So, but whatever software some delivery companies seem to be using have had a couple issues, and it's not just the company that misdelivered this original piece, but even Amazon. When I first moved here, I had filed 3 Amazon claims before somebody finally appeared to take a video of my entire doorway, and then they must have added it to my account so that they could stop losing packages. But anyway, so there was a shipping issue that I had with this kit, which was that the expansion pack by itself had showed to be delivered. I looked at the proof of delivery. It was at somebody else's door. So I notified Musician's Friend. I just called them, just their generic customer service number. I got in touch with a guy who was very willing to help. Really good, like, bedside manner on the phone, very helpful. He told me that he was going to get with their shipping department so they could get it resolved. Before he could actually get a resolution, which was probably then the next day, I had asked, like, hey, did you hear anything back? I was waiting for him to call me back. And then my neighbor came and just said, hey, is this you? Is this yours? And I said, yes. So I ended up getting the original one that was misdelivered to God knows where. And then he called back to follow up, and I said, hey, just forget about it. I got it from my neighbor, so we're good. But they were ready to resolve it. Like, he didn't push back at any point. He didn't say, hey, it's too early to file a claim. He just said, hey, let me get with my shipping department. And I was still waiting for the main kit to arrive, so I was not in any rush. But so they didn't push back at all. They seemed to be very willing to help. So that is a good mark on Musician's Friend customer service, because I haven't had an experience from buying from them in a while. I do want to cover the experience also of setting up this kit, because once I had everything, of course I had to set it up. It came in a giant box for the main kit and a smaller box for the expansion pack. And of course the frame of it, I guess, like I don't know what you call it, the frame of the kit that has the rails, was pre-assembled, and everything else was separate. So the cymbal stands, I suppose, and the pedals, the drum heads, everything, and the connectors, the clamps that add the drum heads to the stand, or the rack, or whatever the term is, was mostly all separate pieces. And within the main box, they were boxed. So it's a good thing for shipping, for durability, for weather resistance and everything like that. It didn't seem like they would be damaged in shipping, but literally when I was trying to put this thing together in my music room, I filled up the whole space of the room behind where I'm filming now, completely filled it up with boxes and bags, and like, you have a big box and you have all these small boxes, and there was just a ton of packaging, which is good, like I said, but I had to clear the room out several times before I was even done setting it up, just so that I could have like some breathing room to work in here. The other thing is, I dropped a piece that I assumed that it didn't come with because I couldn't find it, but there's a square key that normally you would use to like adjust the tension of the heads, or to tune the heads conventionally, but it's this piece. It's basically just like a metal key with a square female socket on it. And I didn't know where that went because I just dropped it and I didn't think that I had it. So in order to add the expansion pieces, the expansion pack pieces, you have to take off the end of part of the rack to take off one of the legs to then add pieces and then, you know, take off heads and whatever. So I kind of built it like the original small kit, and then I was like, how do I put these on? Then I realized I had to take off a couple heads and a cymbal and take the end off the rack. And without having that square key piece, I just ended up using like needle nose pliers, and it was a pain in the ass. So I suggest if you are gonna unpackage a Simmons kit, do not lose that key like I did, like an idiot. Now that I have it, I don't need it anymore, but I guess I might need it in the future, so I'll keep it. I would say, all in all, it took me about maybe about an hour of setup, and it was pretty rigorous. And I mean, this is just compared to setting up a guitar rig. This is my point of comparison. So if you're a drummer, you're going to be like, this guy's just complaining about setting up an electric kit, which is probably much easier than setting up an acoustic kit. But as a guitarist, I was like, man, you know, even if I had to really mess with my pedals and everything to set up, it would take me like 15 minutes, if that, 10 minutes. It took an hour to set up this kit, although I'm sure that I could probably just adjust it, fold it, and move it if I had a large enough vehicle, and move it basically in one piece. So that could be an advantage. But the initial setup had me questioning if it was really worth having this kit. It was just taking so long, and the fact that I lost that little key and I was doing it with pliers. And anyway, now that it's put together though, I have not had any second thoughts, because it feels great as far as the feel of the heads or the pads or whatever you want to call it. Even the kick, it has a chain drive kick that that pad feels pretty good too. It has a pretty good feel to it, I would say. The only thing is the pedal for the hi-hat is just a switch pedal. So it doesn't have like an opening and closing physical hi-hat. You're just basically adjusting a potentiometer when you use that pedal. But the kick pedal is a mechanical chain drive, and it feels very, you have a very positive engagement the way that it feels. That's basically it. The module, I believe, can accommodate the expansion kit, but not much else. So that would be the downside to a Titan 50 versus like a Titan 70 or a bigger Simmons kit, because once you add the expanded cymbal and drum pad, you don't have any more slots to expand. But basically you have a kick, a snare, 2 toms up front, 2 toms down the side with the expansion kit. Normally you'd just be having one on the side. And then you have a ride and a crash, and then a second crash with the expansion kit. So for me as a non-drummer, and for just occasionally having drummers here, it seems better than just a totally simple Titan 50 without the expansion kit. But I guess, you know, the more use that it gets, I can give updates on the quality and such. But it seems like from their reviews and from the feel of it and the quality of it that I don't really anticipate having issues. I think Simmons is a really good manufacturer for electric kits. I don't have an actual like drum kit specific speaker to use with it, but I'm currently running it into a 600 watt PA speaker, which can get so loud in this room that it gets way louder than you would ever need. It'd be basically probably thump this room harder than an acoustic kit would actually be able to. I mean, it's fully capable of keeping up with a band with a 600 watt PA speaker. So what I've been doing is turning it way down, and then occasionally I'll just sort of put on a simple song and try to hold a rhythm, or try to just self-critique myself and just messing with it. But I haven't really used it more than a couple times. I just thought it'd be kind of a cool update to give, because rather than having this room full of all these extra guitars that I don't need, Now I'm actually using space for putting other instruments, which could eventually benefit my recording or just having fun playing with friends and family. So I guess I will show this kit a little bit. Not that I'm a drummer, so I can't really give a good demo of it, but I'll kind of show you how it looks for now. Okay, so before I turn it on, I'm going to demonstrate how the pads actually sound if you were interested in maybe getting this kit for a very volume sensitive application. Basically, that's the snare. I believe all of the tom pads are probably the same part number as such. The snare is bigger. The loudest part of it is probably the kick, because especially if it's unplugged, you can hear the chain, you can kind of hear it just... That's pretty loud, to be honest, but there's no way to have a kick that's mechanical like that, that's not that loud. So I would say if you were going to use this in an apartment, if you're on the ground floor, you'd be fine. But if you have a downstairs neighbor, you would probably want to put quite a bit of padding, if you could somehow, under the kick, so that you wouldn't just be like swinging it into the floor, which would be somebody else's ceiling. Because you can pretty much, I mean, my house has a concrete slab that no sound is going to pass through, but that's just the kick by itself. The cymbals, pretty quiet, under speaking volume. So that's it off. Like I said, the only thing you'd really be concerned about if volume was extremely critical would be the kick. But I would not necessarily want a non-mechanical kick, just because you wouldn't have the positive mechanical feedback to your foot. Like, you know, the hi-hat pedal on this, for example, it does kind of, the more you push it, the more resistance you get, but at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like a mechanical pedal. So, without further ado, I'll turn on the speaker and turn on the module. And this is the kit number 1, Heavy Rock, which I have never changed the setting. This is just how it came because I think it sounds great. So with this particular speaker, the cymbals are very quiet, and I suspect you might face that that might just be a byproduct of it being an electric kit. You know, normally if you hit a real cymbal in a room, it's just going to ring and ring and ring for a long time. This does ring for a long time, but because you can turn the volume down, it basically, it kind of gets lost in the room quicker than a traditional cymbal would. The kick with this particular speaker is extremely boomy. That would be my limiting factor before my neighbors would probably start to hear it through the walls of their house and say, what the hell's going on? Something else that I find interesting at this price point, because this is basically like a $500 kit, or maybe even less, I think maybe $500 with tax. But something else that I find interesting at this price is that you can actually choke a cymbal by grabbing it as if it was metal. So that's interesting. kind of a cool feature. I don't know how they do that, but it does have pretty good sensitivities for the price. So this kit has a pretty dark sounding kick, pretty low sounding toms. This is really hilarious how much I'm struggling to try to explain, to introduce or review like any sort of drum kit, because I'm just so out of my element here. But I like the sound of this heavy rock kit because it has a pretty tight snare, pretty low sounding toms, and a really thud, heavy, dark sounding kick. I do think that I'm going to want to spread this out a little bit more. I'm probably not going to keep it right in this spot in the room. For one thing, because this closet door is kind of close to it, but I may move it all the way down the other way in front of the window and then spread out the rack or the stand or whatever. If you try to, I mean, I'm pretty big. I'm 6'2", about 225 pounds, and it's kind of cramped for me to hit these lower toms just in the position that I'm in. Like right there, it's kind of a small target, but I also don't have good technique and I suck, so it could be a non-complaint. So I guess if I change the kit, okay, that would be modern pop, sounds like this. Tighter toms. Not as heavy of a kick. Maybe a little thinner on the hi-hat. I've never actually checked to see which other kits this has besides Heavy Rock. Metallic. Well, that crash is definitely thicker, more washier than the heavy rock sound. Americana. Well, that's definitely the boomiest toms. That's really boomy. Even with how quiet it is, you can still hear the sticks hitting, like... I mean, hear how boomy that is. Actually, that's so boomy that it's pretty satisfying. And there's not really a compromise on the snare. I don't know how much you can really like tweak these kits that it has pre-installed. Funk Booty. That's what it's called. Oh, quick fade on all the cymbals on that one. Well, maybe except the hi-hat. That's probably the most bitey hi-hat. Ooh. Well, these three are pretty tight. Anyway, that might actually make me kind of want to learn drums right there. Yacht Rock. That's washy. Pretty breathy. Whoa. There's a really noticeable impact sound on the toms on Yacht Rock. wider sounding snare. I think the way that this speaker is set up, it's the hardest for me to discern the difference with the kick unless there's a big difference in power. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what yacht rock is considered, but oh, and here's one called Fusion Club. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Sunset Strip. Ooh. A lot of snare engaged on that sound. Pretty loud toms on that one. I mean, the feel of this can't be that bad if I can't do shit on drums and I can at least, like... Empire, number 9. Don't have any idea what that's going to be. Very hollow sounding snare. Very tight sounding toms. Pretty sharp hi-hat. A lot of treble on this one. What I like is that these kits that they have in here are not excessively fake and corny sounding. They just sound like different recreations of drums. Punchy rock. Just pretty tight. Big ballad. Oh, let me see. play anything like a ballad, but I can see how that's big ballad. Top 40. Whoa. Full on snare. Ba-doom boom. Ba-doom boom. This reminds me of like the drum sound from, what was that band? No Doubt. Young Punk. Oh yeah, that snare, that is a super tight punk snare. This is the point where I'm actually getting tired and I'm going to be probably going down the other side of my peak drumming of not knowing what I'm doing. High volume. I don't know what that's really supposed to be. That's a really high-pitched kick for high volume. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Metal Star. Jesus Christ. Oh, that's hilarious. What the hell? You would never want to use that. 80s gated. Ooh. Ah. Noise gate. Yeah, that is an 80s noise gate drum sound. Well, the hi-hat doesn't have a gate. But all the drums have a gate. That's interesting. If you really want an 80s noise gated drum sound, you have that. Nails. That's the hi-hat pedal. That's weird. That is, I'm surprised you can even feel anything from that, but that's a weird sound. Techno, 18. I didn't realize how many kits this had. I thought it would have like 5. Whoa! But wham! That just has me wanting to play the toms like it's a little keyboard or something. Kind of fun, actually. Hip hop. Jesus. found one. That's really booming. I mean, that was pretty loud in the room, actually, even at low volume. SD S7. What does that mean? Whoa. Well, it sounds droopy. Well, the droopiness of the cymbals doesn't quite match the droopiness of the toms to that. I don't know what's the significance of that. And the snare is pretty quiet compared to how hard I'm hitting the snare and the toms. Pretty quiet kick on that one. House Rave. SDSV. Ooh, lost a stick. That's weird. I don't know these SD things. Latin. Ooh. To do with that. India. Jesus Christ. fun. Brazil. This is 25. I didn't think there was nearly this many kits. Jeez. Weird. User kit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heavy rock. Well, that ended up being a lot longer than I thought. I'm actually sweating now. And I think I want to leave this on Americana. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of really good sounds on this. There's 35, including 10 that you can program yourself. I'm not going any further into it right now. I've already beyond exceeded my skill and endurance and capacity for trying to drum anything. But anyway, this is my new drum kit, the Simmons Titan 50 with the expansion pack. You just saw me run through the different kit sounds live, and hopefully this video gives you some idea of this kit and what I plan to do with it going forward. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys next time.